Hey guys, welcome. Welcome to 13 Moonistic full moon report for this month of October. I promised myself that I wouldn't start off laughing, but that didn't work out so well. So welcome to this recording. If you're new to my readings, then I would say just be prepared to maybe take some notes. I like to start off with a little meditation, just kind of bring us all into the zone. Lots going on. There's a lot to cover. So that's kind of why I started off with a little bit of laughing, because I think we could all use that right now. So let's go ahead and begin. My name is Dana Damara, and I just want to say thank you for showing up. You can find these recordings on 13moonmystic.com, but I offer them here on YouTube for free, and I also put them on IGTV on Instagram, because I feel like this year has been quite a year. And when I look at the astrology, I'm like, of course, this is exactly what this year is supposed to look like. Not comfortable, but definitely what it's supposed to look like. So I want to go ahead and begin because we have a lot to cover. So go ahead and, if you would, find a comfortable seat. You'll go ahead and close the eyes. Excuse me, you take a big deep breath into the nose and then hold the breath for a sec. And then exhale all of your breath out through your mouth. So just go. And you're going to inhale again. Hold the breath. And exhale all your breath out through your mouth. I love that. And then inhale again. And this time when you exhale, just go. It's kind of how it feels sometimes. So now just find that space where it's quiet internally. There's a lot going on the planet. There's a lot going on in the cosmos. There's a lot going on potentially in our own hearts. So we just ask for this moment in time that we are free from the density of the earth and what's going on. That we can actually lift ourselves above all of that noise, chaos, perceived chaos, frustration, whatever the negativity is showing up as for you. We ask that we are lifted up into a space that is pure and light and free. And I always just call in that the only thing that we desire from this moment in time is clarity, direction, acknowledgement of the idea that we are just the microcosm of the macrocosm, and that we can stay in a place of grounded functionality as a human, when in actuality we know we are this beautiful soul being of light. We just ask that we hear whatever it is that we need to hear during this session today. If you need more time for a pause and some more breathing, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, go ahead and open the eyes and we will begin. So, holy smokes, huh? Full moon in Taurus on Halloween. We celebrate Halloween, or Shaman, October 31st, 2020. This full moon happens on October 31st, 2020 at 6:49 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So starts off the day with a little bit of a bang. There are a couple of aspects I want to go over with you. One is that actually three, well, more than that, but first thing is that this full moon is considered a blue moon because it is the second full moon in this month. So we had another full moon at the very beginning of the month. The other thing is that this moon is actually sitting at exactly the same degree in Taurus as Uranus is. So it's at 8 degrees. One's at like 8.41, the other one's at 8.36 or something. So basically right on top of each other. Uranus is the planet of change, of unexpected movement, of, breakthroughs, breakdowns, that sort of thing. So that's, I don't want to say a little concerning, but that is a little important to understand. And then we also have Mercury, who still is in retrograde, that begins to move direct or goes direct on November 3rd, which is just ironically the same day as Election Day here in the Americas. So kind of interesting, but Mercury is squaring that stellium that we had at the beginning of the year. And if you're unaware of what that is, it's Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all sitting within, 2, 3, 4 degrees of each other pretty much all year in the sign of Capricorn. So, Mercury retrograde is squaring that. So it's creating a little bit of angstiness. Oh, and by the way, we still have Mars in retrograde, which is always a good party. So I want to go through all of this with you, and I want to show you the picture of where everything is, so that if you're like me, I listen by learning, but mostly I like to kinesthetically feel things. And so I'm going to show the screen to you so you can kind of see what's going on up in the sky. One thing to note when you are looking at this is that, well, a couple things to note. One is that just because the full moon is at 6:49 a.m. Pacific Standard Time doesn't mean that like right before that and right after that, it's like not energetically sound. Like we are feeling this for a good few days before and a few days after. So there's lots and lots of rituals you can practice for really honoring this full moon. And just because it's in the sign of Taurus doesn't mean it only affects people who have Taurus in their chart. It affects everybody in some way. It does matter what sign it is, though. So it does create sort of an essence of Taurus. We also look at what the ruling planet is, and then we also look at other aspects, which is what I was talking about before. So I want to go through all of those today with you. So I wanted to make sure this information was correct. And yes, it is. Full moon Taurus, moon conjunct Uranus, Mercury retrograde square Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter. So it's within 5 degrees, and the Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn are moving at different rates. So they don't all conjunct at exact on that day, but they're close enough. And then Venus is also opposite Chiron, which we're going to talk about. Pluto, actually this was in the old one. Pluto and Saturn both went direct within 3 days before and after the new moon, but we still have Neptune, Chiron, Uranus, and Mars all in retrograde. Mercury went on in retrograde on October 13th and will go direct on November 3rd, again on Election Day. So in America. So this is what the picture looks like in the sky. And what I tell people when I'm doing their chart, if you were to turn your paper, like here's the paper actually. Here, let me stop sharing the screen for a second and I'll show you. Because it's science, but it's not, well, I guess it is rocket science. So if you were to turn this paper that I'm going to show you this way, like on its side, that's what this picture looks like, right? So you have this flattened perspective of looking above the universe. So when you're looking at this, if you've never looked at this before, that's kind of how I want you to look at it, okay? So I'm going to share that with you. And before, I'm going to put on my glasses so I can see. And before I make it totally big, I just want to point this out to you. So here's the sun, right? It's in Scorpio. So we're in Scorpio season, which is all about unearthing the truth, things that have been hidden. Scorpio is all about the darkness, what's been kept in the darkness. And then here, right across opposite is the moon and Uranus. So you've got the moon and Uranus at 8 degrees right in Taurus. So the moon is about to set here in San Diego when it's full, and then the sun is about to rise. So take note, if you live in San Diego or Encinitas, beautiful, always beautiful when we have this, because if you go down to the beach, you can see the moon setting over the ocean and the sun rising at the same time. So it's absolutely beautiful. Here's where we have, where's Mercury? There it is. Mercury sitting here in Libra. And it's, if you follow this red line, it's making that square like I talked about to Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn. We've also got, and it's not really a square, but it still is a pretty hard aspect. This is Mars over here. Mars is still in retrograde, and it is actually squaring that same thing. It's over 5 degrees, so it's not considered a square, but in my humble opinion, it's still affecting what we have happening. Mars in retrograde is affecting all of this anyways. And then Venus up here, you know, we show this aspect over here to this stellium, but what's not listed here is that if you were to draw a line from Venus straight across, it would be straight opposite of Chiron, and Chiron is the sacred healer. So, you know, and Venus is love, and Venus is grace, and Venus is gratitude, and Venus is just all about love. So, and Venus is actually also the ruler of Libra. So we've got this energy that is pretty volatile, actually, and you can tell just by looking at this chart. There's a ton of red lines and not a lot of blue lines. Okay, so just acknowledging that and calling a spade, like this is what this is. You know, this is a pretty hard aspect with this moon. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. So when we're talking about this any full moon, remember that the full moon illuminates our whatever's going on. So it's a heightened sense of energy. It's a heightened sense of sensation. So whatever we're feeling, full moons will heighten it. Full moons will expand it. Full moons will, you know, bring to light anything that has been going on. And so this is really about liberation. This is about breaking through, because the moon is sitting so close to, well, right on top of Uranus. The cool thing about this moon is that, you know, we've also been experiencing this stellium of Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter since the beginning of the year, and Saturn's going to move into Aquarius here at the end of the year and going to stay there until 2023. So we're talking about this energy that is creating patterns and setting up structures for the next, you know, however long in our life. And remember, Saturn is structure, Jupiter's expansion, wisdom, knowledge, and Pluto, again, just like Scorpio, is that planet of unearthing the truth, like really coming forward with the truth of things that maybe we hadn't noticed before. So, you know, the Scorpio and Sun, along with Pluto sitting where it is, this is all about bringing up the unconscious, bringing to light what needs to be empowered, what needs to be released. This is about power. This is about I don't want to use the word power again. This is about unearthing maybe gifts that you didn't know you had, or illuminating things that you hadn't thought of before. This is about expecting the unexpected, being open to unforeseen circumstances. This energy is about seeing beyond the minutia of whatever's happening, and taking that sense of courageous assertiveness that starts with the heart and moving through it. We've been doing that all year, and that's really the theme of the year is and talk to almost anyone. I could talk to almost anybody, and they'll say, gosh, you know, I feel like this year, I feel like I kind of got knocked down, and then I came back up again, and then I got knocked down again, and then I came back up again, I got knocked down again. Well, if you can dial out your aperture a little bit and think about that in terms of, okay, I got knocked down, I got back up again, I got knocked down, I got back up again, right? It's the universe trying to make us a little bit more resilient, a little bit more in touch with our vulnerability or our misgivings, or maybe patterns of things that we've done in the past that we don't want to take with us. It may have brought to light some ways we were living that really wasn't working for this new energy that's coming through when Saturn moves. And so I know sometimes it's challenging, and I'm not negating, you know, people who've lost their lives and all the things that we've been through this year. This has been a tough year for a lot of us. I'm not negating that. All I'm saying is that if we can dial out our aperture when we are given the opportunity, if we have that space to really try to look at it from a different perspective of we're getting our heart muscle to flex a little bit. We're allowing our mind to expand a little bit. We're being shown ways that things have been done that don't freaking work anymore. And we're being shown things in our life that maybe we need to adjust and refine a little bit, you know? So these energies aren't ones that are trying to hurt us or, you know, create angst. It's about showing us the truth. It's about showing us the truth so that we can be completely liberated and move forward in a way that is guided from a deep sense of resource into earth and a huge expansion of the heart space. That's really why we're here. And sometimes I think we just get off track with that. Like shit happens and we just get off track. Sorry, I cussed. But the number 8 is really powerful too, where the moon and Uranus are sitting, because the number 8 is about infinity. It's about abundance. It's about, you know, it's that symbol that just goes on forever, right? So when we again dial back a little bit, if we can, for lack of a better phrase, if we can get through what it is that we need to get through, on the other side will be so bright and so light. We'll have like let go of the things that we thought were important, and they're really not. Okay. I'm looking at my notes like I do because I always have something to see. Uranus is the higher mind. So Uranus is about bringing the unconscious to conscious, seeing things from a higher perspective. Uranus is about, and Mercury is the lower mind. So think of it that way, right? So maybe we've been in our thinking mind a lot, right? And instead, Uranus sitting so close to the moon wants you to kind of merge the two with that higher way of thinking, and also thinking and feeling with the heart space. So if you have, say, repressed emotions, or if you've had a time this year where you've had to kind of keep moving forward without really acknowledging maybe a feeling or emotion or a loss or whatever, a regret, whatever, now this moon would be the one to let it go. Like, oh, back in July, I did this and I wish I would have done that, or whatever it is, right? It's time to let all of that go and put it in the proverbial fire. And then it's also a time, you know, remember Uranus is about our big dreams. It's our subconscious, so it's our unconscious soul. It's the higher mind of, oh, I dreamed this. But the lower mind takes us out of it. The lower mind is like, oh, that's not possible. Oh, that's not this. Oh, that's not that. But here's the deal, like Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Taurus and Venus, you know, it's love, it's beauty, it's grace, it's sensuality, it's a feeling of essence and connected to all the beauty around us. So this energy wants us to experience that in this lifetime. Our lower mind is what gets in the way. Our distractions from the outside world is what gets us in the way. We as humans get in our own way. So, you know, my invitation is to be proactive. Be proactive about what you desire. Be proactive about the things that you know you have to change, like that thing that you've been like shoving under the rug, or that's really the big elephant in the room, and you're like, now what? You know, pay attention to it and be proactive about it. Envision the life that you desire. It doesn't mean that it's going to show up exactly the way that you desire, but when you put that out there into the universe, it will show up. And be truthful and honest and authentic with yourself. Like, look at yourself in the mirror. One of the most powerful things you could do with this full moon actually is to do mirror gazing. So if you haven't practiced that before, my invitation to you is to practice it, because if you mirror gaze at yourself long enough, everything else starts to drop away. everything drops away. And you can see into your soul. Like, that's the energy we want to start connecting with, is that deeper guiding energy. It's body work. It's you know, connecting with nature. It's connecting with our divine energy. It's praying. It's meditating. It's whatever it is that brings us to that divine source. Ask yourself how you want to set up your life. How do I want to set up my life? What do I want to do? Just put on that megaphone to the universe, and at the same time, own up to the ways that you have sabotaged yourself, or you have stopped yourself, or you have shoved shit under the rug that needs to be paid attention to. That's all, and that's life. That's life. Any moon, any day, anything. That's just the way it is. But with this moon, it's really powerful. Remember that the shadow side of Taurus is being resistant to change, and not Taurus, Uranus. So don't resist. I really want you to allow yourself to let go of the things that, not let go of the things, let go of the way you think things should show up, right? Like, and this is what it looks like, because I know I sound like I'm contradicting myself. If you were to say, I dream my life this way, which means I most likely have to let go of this, right? At the end of that intention, you would write something like, this or something better. Or, I give it to you, Spirit. This is what I desire. I let go with reverence, something like that, right? Because when we do that, I guarantee you things show up in a more powerful, amazing, magical way than you could have ever imagined for yourself. I've done this work for a long, long time. And every single time things show up better than I thought. But if I go back and I look at, and clients too, if we look at the list, or we look at the mind map, or whatever, right? Whatever the color, the picture, whatever, it's almost to a T. But if you grip it and you say, well, this is how I want it, it won't show up at all. So just remember those, like, I'm setting my intention, I'm putting this into the fire, I'm letting this go. I leave it up to you, Spirit. This is my desire. Okay. So, and that's like a thing you could do all the time, but especially with this full moon in Taurus, it's a big fatty. So I just want to talk a little bit about Uranus. Okay. Uranus is at 8 degrees, and Uranus is about liberation. I'm going to share my screen really quick. I'm going to make it big for a second. I just want to be, yes. Okay. So if you ever wanted to, I'm going to make it small. If you ever wanted to look and see where things are in retrograde, if you just look at this chart right here, it's so smart. It's so easy. There's little R's next to the planets that are in retrograde, not rocket science. You just need to know what it means. So again, just like I said, Mercury, Mars, Uranus, Neptune, and Chiron all still in retrograde. So because Uranus is in retrograde, it's asking us to review. So much review this year, holy crap. It's asking us to review those things in our life that, anything that is pertinent to your growth, anything that is pertinent to your liberation, anything that is pertinent to your sovereignty, anything that has taken away your sovereignty, your ability to function in alignment with your deepest soul's calling, it has been up for review. And maybe you've broken through it and maybe you haven't, but now would be the time to kind of focus on that, because Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. So little minute changes have been happening for you since then. So when Uranus moved into Taurus, I believe it was May of 2018, changes started to happen then. And then this full moon is going to release a lot of that pressure. So this will, if you've been thinking too much or debating or doubting or whatever, this is going to kind of awaken. It's almost going to be like a, oh, that's epic. So it'll give you the opportunity to take your revelations and your curiosity and your creativity to another level. So it'll change the way you think. It could potentially change the way you communicate. It could potentially change the way you offer yourself up in the world or in relationship. And it may even, change the direction of your goals. So if you're one of those people who's been kind of like, I'm not sure what I want to do, I feel a change coming, I don't know. Like, for me, I've been working on my new website for like 3 months, and I'm just like, I haven't like put my stamp on it because I'm like, I just don't know yet. It's super clear, but at the same time, I feel like there's this like one little star seed that still needs to show up. If you're feeling that, just pause. It's okay. There's no hurry, there's no time, right? So just allow this energy to come through and kind of offer up a breakthrough. Pray for it, meditate on it, sit with it, hold space for it. That's really what we want to do. This is a change, potential for change that could really offer up an opportunity for you to take leadership in a certain way in your life that you've never even thought of doing before. And that could be in work, that could be in your love life, that could be in where you live, that could be in your environment. That it's just like this woof of energy. So, you don't want to be carrying around old backpacks of shit that's not yours, that's old, that's heavy, that's weighing you down, that's creating stagnation. Let that go. Because otherwise you're going to like be dragged around. It's going to be uncomfortable, right? So with that full moon conjuncting Uranus, it creates that sense of, here, I'll stop share. I feel like I'm not connected to you guys when I have it on share. Okay, there we go. It's creating that sense of like impatience or restlessness or like, God, I wish this would just like change. You know that feeling you get when you think about the election? If you are kind of like that, like, I wonder what's going to happen. Like that. And it's nothing to be like worried about or concerned about or fearful about. Remember, you are the microcosm of the macrocosm. You're like that big. You're like that big. You're that big in the world. But the paradox, the juxtaposition of that is like you're that big, but everything you think, feel, do matters and makes a difference. So even though you're just that big, you're just this little teeny tiny aspect of the whole world, everything you think, say, feel, do matters. So put yourself in that alignment instead of falling into fear and going, well, what happens if this or what happens if that? Or, stay the course, warrior, Jedi, and just be like, you know what? This is what I desire. And I'm gonna hand it over to God, to source, to divine, because I know they know better than me. But let's ask for like a positive, gentle transformation, if necessary. Guide me along my path, like that. And I've let go of all of this, and this, and I'm courageously in love with my life so much and myself that I can go, I'm going to do this. You see what I mean? So there's this like, it's not a time to kind of tune out and zone out and distract. It's not a time to really push. If you hear yourself saying, I'm just going to push through, you're going to get tired. Because we still have from now till 12/21/12, that's funny, 12/21/2020, okay, to make shifts. So don't waste your energy by pushing too hard. Don't fall asleep at the wheel. Be in that moment where you're like, purge, forward. Where should I go? Like that, okay? The other thing is, the other thing is that Mercury is in retrograde still. And again, like I mentioned, Mercury will go direct on 11/3. So that means on election day, Mercury will go direct after being in retrograde since 10/13. So that will just be interesting. Maybe we'll all just cruise on through it, but maybe not. So vote. If you haven't already, please. And vote with your heart. Try to stay out of the noise, the distraction. Try to stay out of, in fact, stay out of negative behavior. Stay out of negative connection, communication, conflict. No, no, just no. Just stay out of it. Because with Mercury squaring that triple conjunction, it's communication is still restricted. It's square to Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, and so it still is tense. It's tense energy. It's angsty. Listen before you speak. If you normally take a breath before you speak, take like 3. I just had something happen just yesterday, and I was like, just went through the roof. But it was interesting because I was watching myself spiral. I was like, oh my God, look at me. I'm spiraling. I'm doing all the things I say not to do. And I was able to like be consciously aware and say, okay, like this is so not the vibe that I want to put out there. It was almost like I had this little me going, hey, you know, do that. Catch yourself, see yourself, stay out of any type of energy, even in your own thoughts, that's creating negativity. You know, this is really an energy too that can create a bit of like confusion or a lack of concentration. Remember, Neptune still is in retrograde too. So it can create this sense of like, I'm not sure what's right. And I'm not sure if this media item is telling me the truth. I'm not sure what this is about. I thought I saw something that was completely opposite somewhere else, like that. It'll create that type of energy. So don't get caught up in that. Don't get snagged. Sit with your intuition, sit with your positivity. Just be in a place of really trying to get to the root of what feels right for you. Just try to stay out of conflict, honestly. Try to stay out of conflict and fear. Something I want to talk about too is that even when we look at those lines on the grid, on the Earth grid there, on the solar system, the astrological grid, you know, life is not flat. The world is not flat. We were raised in a way, though, that wanted us to be in a flat living. So by that, I mean born, go to school, go to high school, go to college, get married, do this, do that, do this, right? So our life, we were taught to do this, okay? We even have like an age grid, you know, like you're 1, 2, 3, 4. At developmentally, you should be here. You're 20 something, you're not married yet. Why? What must be wrong with you? Like things like that, like these ways of living that have been defined. Well, what's happening in the world right now, if you haven't noticed, is a lot of those structures are breaking. A lot of those structures are being disproven. A lot of those ways of living, which have not been in accordance with divine living, are starting to fall away. And so in my teaching and learning about priestess work and shamanism and this divine feminine work, you know, we don't live like this. We live like this. And I wrote about it in my first book, Alms from the Mount. We live like this. We're in a spiral. So we're consistently spiraling. And just think about the Earth and all the planets. They're all spinning and they're all orbiting around each other. We're the only beings that are like, let's travel down this path one step at a time, go this way. No, I mean, you can. I'm not saying to not have goals, but what I'm saying is become more of a spiral. Fall into that idea of spiral living, of like, wow, okay, we're in this space where we can flow a little bit. Things don't have to be so structured. We can let go of some of these structures that we have been confining ourselves to, right? That's why a lot of these structures are breaking down. And the only struggle that we're feeling is our struggle of gripping and resisting and going, but we've been doing this forever. Okay. Moving on. So just be aware of like where you're doing that, where you're putting yourself in a box of like, I'm such and such an age, I'm such and such a gender, I'm such and such a whatever. I should be here, there, the other thing. What would happen if that was all a lie? What would happen if that was all a lie and you could just do what you wanted to do and you could live in a spiral? And when some lesson came up, instead of you going, okay, I learned this lesson. Okay, moving on. I learned this lesson, moving on. This, you don't graduate, so to speak. The same little sweet lessons keep coming up for you to just be with them and move at a higher vibratory frequency where they don't affect you as much. Because I can guarantee you, if you were to take a look back at your life, it would be the same lessons over and over again. And just the way you handled them or the way you moved through them was the way that you were able to then see a higher vision of how to live. Okay, it's not like, oh, I mastered that, moving on. But boy, that sure is the way we were taught. That's old. It's old. Okay. With this square to Pluto, I can't emphasize enough for you to go in, for you to go inward. And I know I was talking to a client the other day, and they said to me, I am so tired of going inward. Well, I know, me too. I want to go out, especially with COVID. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I've cleaned out my closet like 50 times, like, it's just, but that's where the caveat is, okay? Because we still need to be a little bit more patient. I can feel that in my heart when I say it. We still need to be a little bit more patient. There's still lessons to be learned individually and collectively. If there's still like massive, massive conflict, there's still some lessons for us to learn. And don't worry about what Joe Schmo across the street needs to learn. Okay? Just go back to the mirror and gaze at yourself. Just ask yourself, what do I need to learn? Don't worry about Joe Schmo and Jane Doe and blah, blah. Don't, just let all that go. And don't distract yourself, okay? Well, you can, but do equal amount of distractions as opposed to equal amount of inward gazing, okay? There's still some things that might need to come up. Yeah, I wrote this like 50 times. Refrain from conflict. Refrain from conflict. Refrain from conflict. Just refrain from conflict. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's going to zap your energy, and then you're going to be really upset, and then that's just going to create a whole spiral you don't need. Okay, this one I want to talk about. Venus opposite Chiron. Okay, so those of you who were born, gosh, 60, maybe 68, I can't remember off the top of my head, but right around like 49, 53 years old, somewhere around there, I think, don't quote me though. But all you have to do is look at your chart. I'll show you. Let me show you, because you want to know if you're a Chiron in return. I'll show you. So this is Chiron. See? Chiron is in Aries right now. Okay? Chiron is in Aries. If you look at your birth chart and Chiron is in Aries, you are in your Chiron return, which means you are potentially going through an identity shift, which is okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right. And if you didn't know that, then that's okay too. But with Chiron in Aries, anytime Chiron hits anywhere a planet goes and is at the same point of contact that was in your natal chart, that's a return. That's why we have Saturn return, Chiron return. We usually focus on like your solar return, your birthday, okay? So Venus is opposite Chiron right now, and Chiron is in retrograde. So those of you who are going through Chiron return right now, you might be feeling particularly like, visualize yourself, and even if you're not, visualize yourself as like being in an egg, right? So like before the chick is born, it's in the egg. And all you're trying to do is be that chick, and you're trying to poke. You're trying to like poke your way out. Like, I know there is something different inside this box I have placed around myself, or eggshell. I know there's something different. I'm going to poke, 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 poke. I'm going to rest. I'm going to poke, 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 poke. That's all that's happening. With Venus opposite Chiron, oh, Venus, you gotta love Venus. Venus like adds the sense of love and abundance and generosity and grace to the whole picture. Venus is like, you got this. You got this. It's love. Just follow the principles of love. Follow the principles of the divine feminine. Be in harmony. Be in your creativity. Be in your feminine. Find your sacred space. Listen to spirituality. Like, be really in this place of where you can know that any change that's happening for you is happening for your highest good, and it will be toward love. But if you fight it or resist it, or you squash it, or you just like ignore it, it's going to be painful. So just be in that sense of understanding that Venus has your back. I think I'm going to make a t-shirt that says that. That's such a great idea. Venus has your back. Okay. So I'm going to look at my final notes here. Yeah. Okay. So final notes. Oh, that's the other thing. Venus is all about value, because this is part of my final notes. So Venus holds value. So here's a big question you could ask yourself. If you could hit the reset button on 12/21/2020, let's just say, right? What would you value? What would you put a little more value on, right? What things would you let go of so you had more energy to focus on that which you value at a heart-centered space? Not money. So if you said, I value money, okay, something else. Go to the heart. What do I value? What do I value? What's important to me? Like, that is probably one of the most powerful things you can do with this full moon. And if you aren't experiencing that energy, if you're like somewhere else, you need to be out of that energy. Done. Finito. Complete. Let it go. Harmony, grace, love, gratitude, abundance. And that doesn't always mean money, right? Time, friendships, resources, that kind of thing. Okay, that's Venus. So a couple things you can do with this one is focus on where you want to put your value. Okay, focus on your foundation. So like, what's an old box that I'm standing on that's like tattered and torn and needs to be thrown out or given away or recycled? Okay, where can I create a new foundation? What boundaries can you set up for yourself that will get you to that space of complete healing and connection, that will keep those values and foundations in place, right? So I'm going to set a new foundation because I value my quiet time, for example. I value my quiet time. So I'm going to set these new boundaries in place. Okay, what are the boundaries that will help to keep that in place? What is it that you can support, how you can support yourself in maintaining that sense of deeper connection? Listen to your intuition. Like, I can't even tell you all the time, but right now, if you hear that little voice that says, or you hear that little voice that goes, yeah, that way, listen to it. It doesn't matter what anyone else says or thinks. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So do what you feel right doing, okay? Be in a place of saying, I'm not sure yet, instead of yes or no. So pay attention to details, pause, especially before November 3rd. Mercury will go direct. We'll loosen things, not without shaking it up a little bit, I don't think, though. So just know that things might get shaken up. It's okay. let it go. But try not to make some huge decisions before November 3rd. Try to be the best you can at really listening, because something might get unearthed, some kind of truth or some kind of something that was hidden, some inspiration, something is going to potentially come up on this full moon. So just be super mindful, okay? And pay attention to details. Try to see what's being written between the lines, and then ask for truth to be revealed, okay? Take time outs to pause and breathe, and really look to what brings you contentment, and only do that. I just said this to my daughter today, like just only do what brings you joy. Forget the rest. Don't do anything that doesn't bring you joy. Forget it. It's a waste of time. It's really where we need to be always, but especially right now. The world is super loud and like potentially scary if we allow ourselves to fall into that pit of overconsumption of media or distraction or numbing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Take just enough information where you can go, okay, I'm going to go and do something that makes me happy. Okay, like for real, it's really important. Okay. I'm going to keep doing these forecasts for you on YouTube, like until I don't feel like it anymore, but it's really fun for me, and I'm going to post them for free on Instagram too. What we will do in the new year, though, I might start with 12/21, not sure yet, but just pay attention, is I'm going to offer up full moon circles online virtually until we can be in person safely. But we'll still probably offer virtual even when we have them in person, because I have so many friends across the globe and I want you there too. So just be aware that that change is coming. And astrology wise, I would say if you haven't gotten your chart read, I would get your chart read and just see, like what's going on? How is my chart being affected by what's happening? Or what are just some essences of my chart that could potentially be noted? When I read people's charts, I don't say to them, don't do this, don't do that, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I say more like, okay, well, this is the essence of your chart. This is kind of what could happen. How do you feel? Because a chart, it's a blueprint, your natal chart, but there's also intuition, there's also karma, there's dharma, there's every decision you make can fluctuate it. So I'm going to be reading charts more. I have been a lot more. And I would say just really be in a space of paying attention to what is important to you and what you value. Okay. The other thing, which I'm super excited about, this is totally a pitch, but it's fine. I have to share this with you. So remember these guys, my mala beads. I'm so excited. So we just placed an order from my rep in Bali. So we are getting more malas and bracelets. And you can go to my website at cosmicmalas.com and you'll see what these all look like. Oh, I could look, I wanted to see if I could click it, and I can. But I designed these, and then friends of mine in Bali actually make them. And a percentage of the money goes back to an organization in Bali that's pretty near and dear to my heart. So that's coming, which is really exciting to me. And this one, the goddess that is activated is Lakshmi. I love Lakshmi. She is my favorite. DanaDamara.com, mystic author yogi. Yeah, among other things. Online live stream. Right now, Sundays at 8:30, and then moving to Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. So 6 p.m. was getting a little too late for me. I actually don't enjoy teaching that late. So Tuesday, Thursdays, 4:30, and then I just do one in-person class a week at Four Moons Spa here in Lucadia. So all those are on my website. You can sign up on my website for class, and you can join anywhere in the world. And then yoga teacher training, I know it says here February 2020. Sorry, guys, it's 2021. I am partnering with Yoga Flow SF with Kathleen Holmes, love her, and we will be doing teacher training together again, which is great. And then we're also talking about doing our advanced teacher training together too. So every time I say, oh, this is going to be my last teacher training, I'm like, I can't. So I will be doing that as well in 2021. But honestly, you know, the next month I'm more quiet than normal, just because I am going in. Everything that I'm asking you to do, I'm doing for myself. And really find out what brings you joy and move in that direction. Don't be afraid to let things go that are weighing you down. Just don't, because the world is heavy enough. You don't need to carry the weight of the world. You really don't. Okay, more news soon. But for now, just love on yourself, love on each other. Be kind, please. Be kind. God's watching. Have such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Take care. Hope to see you soon. Namaste.